Here we go, episode 10, the Hear Me Out podcast. I'm Eric.
Brandon.
Donovan. I was gonna say something. I was gonna say something silly, but I was like, couldn't think of a ocho cinco. I was like, oh, what is that? How you say whatever. We'll roll with it.
All right, let's go, man. So first and foremost, like it's episode 10. We got a little consistency going, so I'm feeling good about that. But we got everybody here. Like let's do a quick check in. We all brothers. We all know each other. We've been friends since the 8th grade or whatever. So, and that's a long time ago, as everybody can see the gray hair and
I'm a fourth year.
no
I'm a
hair.
fourth year senior in college. So I
Um,
don't know what he's talking about. You dig?
right. But let's do a one to 10 check in. Uh, Mental, physical, professional. Just give me a number 1 through 10. Everybody, you know. Donnie, you want to start off?
Mental. Mental's at like a 3. Physical's at like a 4. Professional's at like a 7. That's all you get. That's
All
all you
right.
get.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about it later.
So we're putting a number to our current state is what we're doing. A
Yeah.
word. Yeah, I'll go today. I'll go sevens across the board for a total score of 21.
What is the dunk
It's such a
contest? What are
math
you?
league.
Is it swimming? What are you
Math
doing?
league. Mathletic.
I didn't know we were doing this.
All right. Let me see. For me, I'd say mental. I'm at a good 8. Physical. Let's give me a. I'll give myself a 7. I need to get back in
You a
the gym
seven?
or whatever.
Okay, I'm like a 9.5 then. I
Race
didn't know.
me. Race me though. But race me though.
Comedy.
But race. That's all I'm saying. You can race me though. That's all I'm saying. If you want to race me, you can race me
I
though.
might be getting pretty good at racing. My Achilles is feeling better.
Yeah, I'm just saying, race me
Comedy.
though. And then professional, I'm at a I'm at a 7, but it's trending towards an 8. Has some good news across a couple of different fronts, so I'm feeling okay, but not where I want to be. So there we go. All right, good. All right, so there's a little bit of late breaking news or quick breaking news or something like that just came across. It looks like MLB decided to move the All Star game from Atlanta because of that Voting Rights Act that just went through, that just got signed a few days ago. You guys want to talk about that a little bit? I think this isn't unprecedented, right? In 2017, the NBA All Star Game was moved from Charlotte to New Orleans because of a gay rights, LGBTQ rights issue that was going on there. So Major League Baseball is in the process of doing the same thing, or has already done the same thing with Atlanta, but they don't know where they're going to move it to. You guys want
Is
to talk
is it the
through it?
voting rights, or did they see all them thoughts in them U-Haul vans in Atlanta during the All-Star game? Like, which one is it?
I'm pretty sure
I don't
I'm
know.
pretty sure it's a combination of both.
Hey, go
so
ahead, B.
so
That's your territory.
the, so first of all, I was really excited about the All Star game being in Atlanta, and I was actually going to make plans to attend. Like very excited about that. Huge baseball guy. Opening day, as most people know, was yesterday. So like my daughter's birthdays, my anniversary, opening day, in no particular order. Those are like the top five, right? I'm joking, whatever. but so I was really excited about that, right? But I was in the car like 30 minutes ago when I first heard that MLB was pulling out. And for those of those, I'm
Pause.
sorry,
Pause.
pause.
You said pull out. Oh,
Go
okay.
ahead.
This
Go
guy.
ahead.
He's got
For
3
those
kids. He's
people
not
who
good
aren't
at that.
aware, the voting, Georgia just passed some Voting Rights Act that in a lot of people's views is rolling back to like the era of Jim Crow, right? Making it more difficult for people to register to vote, making the criteria what you need to have in order to vote a little more difficult. Really silly things like not being allowed to bring water to people that are standing in lines. I think is very thinly veiled, personally, um, because of the recent results of the last election that occurred in November. But what it really says to me is that, right, like you can't hide behind these acts anymore, right? Like whether it be the NBA or Major League Baseball or certain corporations, people are or organizations in general are not going to tie themselves to situations where there believes any type of inequality is occurring. And whether inequality is occurring is a lot of times up for debate. So I don't really want to even get into that. But I think these current set of voting right acts and what just got passed, I do think is kind of a thinly veiled exercise. Quite honestly, just because you don't like the results of something doesn't mean that the rules need to be changed. Like do better, be better. Look inward, whatever. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe they'll move it someplace close enough where I can go attend. But I'm really hoping to see it down at Truist Park and kind of take advantage of it. But I think you'll see more of this, not less of this, as society starts to evolve, which is a good thing.
All right.
Yeah, I think the good old boy system and network is kind of falling apart, right? People are raising their kids not to be racist, not to see color, and to try to kind of stand up for what's right. And the people that are kind of racist and stuff like that. I don't want to say they're falling off, but they're definitely losing some power and steam. And it's all does come from the election and basically Kemp being punked off by Trump and like, well, I can't do anything. It's like, well, this is a way we can do something. So it's good to see the power being used by people that have the power, right? Instead of just ignoring it or just like we're not going to speak on this. It's they're moving millions and millions of dollars, probably some $40 million for that weekend, out
Would
of
have
the
been
city,
huge,
right?
huge
Out of
for
the
the
city,
city.
which is money for schools and all this other wonderful stuff, right? Just great for the economy. And so if it's going to go elsewhere, it's going to start destroying Georgia's businesses, and then these business owners are going to say, "Well, look, this ain't working the way I want it to," and then they're also going to want to evoke that change. So you're probably going to see us be a blue state. You're probably going to see us have a Democratic governor, just because probably of this action right here. So it's good to see Major League Baseball stand up.
I, I,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So one thing that I will say, just MLB has said that all of the community involvement things that they typically do for their All Star game, they're still going to do that. They're just not going to play the game here, which is it's a good thing and a bad thing. I honestly feel like they should probably just take everything and move it, because you have to have there has to be a consequence. If all of these organizations get money from MLB or whatever, excuse me, it ends up still being okay for them or whatever. But in order to enact true movement or whatever and get a real movement going, people have to feel the impact of it. So the game is one thing, but the community impact has got to be another thing. People got to continue to put pressure on it, and people definitely seem to be doing that because even uh, you know Delta and Chick-fil-A and Home Depot, like they all made a couple of statements that rang kind of hollow to me
Yeah.
when it first came out, and when the law first passed, and then after they got all of the backlash that they got, they immediately changed their
Oh,
mind.
did
Ed
they?
Bastian over at Delta was like, "Oh no, we don't want this. Like this is a bad idea." He actually got into a big back and forth with Governor
Who is
Deal,
this?
Ed Bastian,
Oh,
the CEO president
yeah.
of Delta. I mean, he came out with his first comment was absolute weak sauce, and everybody called him on it, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna start boycotting, and we're gonna start boycotting Delta, Home Depot, Chick-fil-A, and a whole bunch of other companies that came out with some weak." statements or whatever that stopped far short of condemning these absolutely racist actions, and then of course a complete and total 180 on those just a day or two later. Their corporate communications group went crazy and was like, "Oh, we can't do this,"
I
So two
didn't pick
things.
up. I
and
didn't pick up on those
that's what's happening.
retractions. I missed that, but to me, it's all about, and I think Dom, you said like, you said something that rung with me. I'm not sure you said Georgia was going to turn into a blue state or whatnot. It's the fact that if there was no, and God knows that it was dove into deep enough. There was no evidence of any type of fraudulent activity that occurred during this election, right? So I mean, and I heard Lester Holt. I was watching something on online today, and it was regarding around the news and the media giving equal platforms to both sides of the coin to whoever's arguing it. And he was like, no, that's not how it should be. Because if something is determined, investigated to be false, you don't give that time. You don't give that a platform. Spreading
Right.
misinformation just for the under the rules of, well, if somebody wants to say it, they should be allowed to say it on whatever platform is not how it should work, right? So once it was investigated thoroughly by the Secretary of the State, through the governor's office, through everybody else, and the only evidence was, some what's that crazy senator Marjorie, whatever, saying that, oh yeah, this we
Marjorie
saw
Green.
people dumping baskets full of ballots or whatnot. I mean, if there's no evidence, then there was no need to address the loss unless you're trying to do something to encourage even more people to come out and vote, right? Because that's what really occurred in this past election. People that historically did not take opportunity to exercise their right, were motivated to do so. They got out and voted, and it impacted the election, which is a good thing. No matter what side you get on, the act of democracy and voting occurring is a good thing if it's done on equal terms. So
So I wanted to comment
Absolutely.
on Eve's talking about. I think the Major League Baseball should keep the stuff from the community in the community. We're talking like kids getting playgrounds. We're talking,
RBI
come take some
program,
pictures and donate some. They shouldn't be
yeah,
impacted by that, right? They should still be able to receive the things that they're going to receive.
I
So
think so
kids
too.
shouldn't have a playground because of a Georgia law. Like that doesn't make any sense. They're pulling it out. That's in itself as a stance. And another part of that, I think it's really interesting. Society's really just taking a turn, right? And just to kind of do a similar comparison, right? LeBron talked about the NCAA, the Baylor versus UConn, commented on say, "Oh, NCAA, that was a foul," right? And then the coach of Connecticut was like, "I'm sure LeBron's benefited from some calls at the end of a game." He's like, "This is kind of the way the game goes." My point that I'm trying to make is people sometimes people nowadays people are using their voice to kind of influence things where back in the day they necessarily didn't say anything. So when you have these Delta Home Depot CEOs, they're here, their job, their private business, their job is to make money, right? They're not lawmakers. That's not what they do. Their focus is making money, not making laws. It is, right? They- so Delta's about making laws. Delta's about making money. Home Depot's about making money, right? They're not
They're
about
about they're
making
about
laws.
they're about answering to their board and their shareholders. That's
And
what the
so a lot of
job
times they
of
want to
the
come out, they don't
CEO
want to
is.
say nothing because it's like, like Jordan said, Republicans buy tennis shoes too, right? So it's kind of like you don't really want to piss anybody off, and then you come out and you make a statement that's kind of here, like hey, it's kind of messed up, but blah 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 blah, right? There's no true action behind it, and so what we're seeing with Major League Baseball is that action behind it, which I think is good.
Okay. So those corporations definitely their focus is bottom line, right? But as a part of getting their bottom line as hefty as possible is they spend millions of dollars yearly lobbying or whatever for different laws to get favorable taxes or
Yes.
whatever. That's why that's why places like Nike or whatever didn't pay and FedEx didn't pay $1 in taxes in federal taxes last year. Not $1. I paid more in taxes than they did, or whatever, and so did both of you guys, and that's pathetic. or whatever. But yes, all of
Won't get
those
me this year.
companies they have the all of those companies have legal departments, have
Yes,
lobbying
yes, they
groups,
do.
and have really high paid corporate communications groups with hundreds of people in many instances that are paid heavily to make statements that make sense. I worked with some of those groups for years, and I'm not surprised by the action. I'm not disappointed by the action or whatever. It's par for the course when you have people who are working who are there. They're there for a check. You have to do the right thing. They should be doing the right thing. Be a good citizen. You're their corporations are treated as people, more so than people are actually treated as people. So it's their job, in those corporate communications departments, in those executive leadership teams, and those SLTs to make sure that they're doing the right things. And across the board, they came out with weak sauce or whatever, and people called them out on it. And then they had to go backtrack or whatever, and that's why today was supposed to be the day where there was all of these boycotts for all of these Georgia companies. They got to do better. That's all I'm saying. Do better.
Yeah,
So,
I'm sure all,
Meh, 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 meh.
mm,
I'm sure all these the companies you just mentioned. Matter of fact, I'm not even guessing. Like I know for a fact that all of them dump tons of money into the local communities through different social programs and whatnot. It's part of their structure. And I think Donovan was absolutely right. You know, and you were right as well, talking about their focus is on the bottom line. So yes, I'm sure they do hold some type of social responsibility through their actions and just how closely tied in, specifically Delta and Home Depot is into the Atlanta community. So you know, in the grand scheme of things, everybody doesn't always do the right thing the first time. But that is the thing. Like we all move across the spectrum at some point. So you know, I have confidence and faith that they'll get it right. I really do. Whether it be through pressure or internal discussions, they'll figure it out.
I was ready to boycott. Like
ready to
I'm
boycott. You always ready to
You
seriously.
boycott. What
boycott
we gonna
everybody.
boycott?
I don't, boy, yeah, you gonna be able to pick
You gonna
places to go
you
next
gonna
a
be in
little
your
bit.
house some awesome. You
Yeah,
gonna have power before it's all said and done. Shit.
you're gonna be wearing a leaf
Fine,
and burning candles.
fine.
You gonna be wearing a
It's
cloth
fine.
robe. They gonna be like, is that Jesus? Jesus?
You boycott everything.
This dude.
Yeah.
Hey,
you gotta
Golly.
you gotta pick your hills to die on.
hey, I'm all about people, man. I believe that we have a higher responsibility or whatever. If you've been given a whole lot of stuff, I expect a whole lot
But
from you,
Much is
right?
given,
it's a
much is
balance
So
on
expected.
that though when you have that conversation because the same way that it is the same way that you're sitting there trying to get laws passed and you're lobbying, right? Those people are the same ones that might have voted for that same law or something like that. So then what do you do? You know, should I if it's a Republican, whoever's passing laws, if I can get you on my side to pass this law for my company, and then you turn around and that's gonna help my company make money, then you turn around and pass a law like that. What am I supposed to do? We're talking billions
you
of dollars. We're
expected them.
talking impacting lots of people. You know what I'm saying? Like people, they just can't go around and just be like, "Oh,
It's
we're just gonna like, nah." It doesn't work that way.
you can't talk about this in a vacuum, right? Like it can't be this high level discussion on it. Like when you talk about something like this, you got to talk about specifics, right? So when we talk about specifics, they don't want people to go to the polls. They want to make it harder
What is the law? What does the law say?
on the law says that they don't that the Republicans that are in office now have greater control over registration, over election process, over the ability criminalizing people who are bringing food and water to people that are in line trying to vote. The abilities to impact where election sites are, how many election sites there are, or whatever. And we've already seen that in certain counties, in certain parts of certain counties, if you look at North Fulton in Georgia, you look at North Fulton, you look at South Fulton, the amount of people there
200% difference in voting
right,
places. Yeah.
but right, and you look at the number of voting locations, it's dramatically different. So the fact that a Republican led Congress in the Georgia in Georgia decided, hey, we want to have more control over that. That shows you they don't want certain people to be able to vote. They're going to move that. That them moving that school directly impacts school. So education it
How?
impacts their it impacts education, but because they get an opportunity to basically gerrymander everything. Oh, we don't want since these people can't vote. We're gonna move our funding more to North Fulton. They're moving more and more stuff to
That's not how
North
that
Fulton.
works.
They're not giving.
Fulton County has to distribute their
Okay,
money to Fulton County. It goes to Fulton County schools. But the thing, if you're talking about the population,
you can look at Riverwood and then look at Tri Cities, both in the same thing. The education that people get is not the same, right?
that's
There's
not what you
multiple
The
said. That's
factors
not
to
what you
that,
facilities
said.
though.
are
There's
not.
It's
multiple
like it
factors
is.
to that.
The education is the same. That's the first thing. But that's a whole other conversation down a whole other road. It is. They teach state standards, right? They do. You have to teach state standards, which you get evaluated on, right? And then,
I think
you have.
The
I think Aaron's
facilities are
talking
not
about
the same.
resources.
You've been to
He said the education's
so,
not the same. First, he started off with silly, then he said education. I'm listening, so it's not.
I
Then he
think
goes
facilities,
back
you
to
I
know
that.
what
think
I
he's
mean,
talking
bro.
about resources, though.
So
Is what I think.
you don't
Facilities,
want to get into that conversation.
they're not the
That's a
same.
whole nother conversation. That
Well, I'll tell
so
you what. We're
who's
gonna wrap
moving to
this up.
But
who's
all of
moving to
those
Tri
things,
Cities?
all of
Nobody's
those,
moving to Tri Cities area. That's why they're not. That's why it looks like that. Who's moved? Johns Creek is a new school. Chattahoochee is a fairly new school. These are areas where people are moving to, and therefore you get a population that says we need a new school. Not we need a new school
right?
building.
So you do realize that all of that the flow of all of that comes from elections, right?
No, it
So
doesn't.
from an elect from an
It
election
doesn't. You
standpoint,
moved up to North Fulton because of an election.
you get greater control,
I moved here
bro.
because of all the
You get
super
greater
targets.
control.
Love me a good super target. I got like three in each direction, 5 miles, man. Convenience.
Facts.
Real talk. I'm up here because of convenience.
Right. Right, exactly. And I lived in College. I lived in College Park for the majority of my life. I moved up here, and it's hard to get me to go back down to the South Side because
Yeah.
of that,
Resources.
because of convenience. And elections impact a lot of that. And I mean, so your Publix, your Krogers, all of those things, those all move away from certain. They're moving away from certain areas. They have more facilities. They have more things up here on the north side of town. A lot of that is because of
It,
different election
No,
it
it's
patterns.
is.
because of
All
money.
of that
There's a Target by your house
is
that closed
influenced by
because there's nobody going there. So Target's like, it costs more money to keep that store open. Let's close it. That store closed by your house because nobody was using it. Just like the stores closed on the south side because nobody was using them, right? So there it is. But that's a whole other
no.
conversation. This start off with Major League Baseball, so we can talk about this on another show.
Absolutely not
So people,
true.
okay,
The
I'm gonna
Target
keep a
closed
store
over.
open where
The Target
there's no money.
So I was at the Publix on Camp Creek Parkway last week taking my mom home. At 9 o'clock at night, there was a line. I stayed in line for an
Man, it's
hour.
funny you said that.
I stayed
Last time I
I
was there,
stayed in
same
line
thing
for an
happened to me.
hour or
It was
whatever.
crazy.
And every time that I've been to the Publix on Camp Creek, I've stayed in line for no less than 30 minutes, and it doesn't matter what time I'm there. So you can't tell me that there's not enough room for people there. There's a higher population density down there
No way.
per
No way.
store
Per
than
store.
there is up
Well,
here.
well, well.
Guaranteed,
Hold up.
because you've only got one store. You've got one store down there on Camp Creek Parkway. You have one store, one Publix. But if you go off of Holcomb Bridge, I've got five, eight, five or
And the
six stores
population
in any
supports it.
direction
The
that I go.
population
Well,
supports
I'm gonna say this too though. No matter it's a Publix, it's Zaxby's, or a Popeyes, anything I do anything down there, it takes 10 times longer, and it has more to do with not only with just how many locations there are, but other factors as well. It's not as linear as either one of you are trying to make it.
So
But
it's the same thing. It's the
but
same.
I,
all
There
I can
there
tell
is
you,
I
there
think
is
I think
there's the
I
Mall
think
of Georgia, and then
the
there's
lack of
there's the Mall of Georgia. There's Discovery Mills. There's all those malls up there in Gwinnett County. And then there's Lenox. There's Phipps. Then there's Perimeter. Right, Cumberland, all
Cumberland.
within that area, right? And then you go down south, you have to go way to like South Lake or something like that, which I don't even know if it's still open. The point is, those pop areas don't, the population doesn't support it. But that's just a whole nother conversation.
Interesting. So with all
that's
that
not true.
being said,
Okay.
I guess there's no chance of Major League Baseball having an All Star game here because I don't think those voting rights are going to get changed or anything. So I
Yep.
missed out on my opportunity to see an All Star game in my home city,
I know, man. I
which is
missed out
whatever.
on Brown Nose when my CEO loves baseball. He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna come down there, like take you out." I'm like, "Yes." I missed out on that, man. That would have been a good opportunity for me to take my 7 to a 9 right there. You know.
If you subscribe to this podcast, you just went down to a 4. So I mean, I don't know if you want to put that out there like that.
This
All
guy,
right, so
you're funny.
let's switch gears for a second, and let's talk about that the Derek Chauvin case. Donnie, you've been watching it
You watch that?
pretty heavily.
No, I
Hmm?
no, I haven't been watching. I've been at work, CEO.
That's all right. There's only about 10 people are watching it, and he's not one of them.
Hey,
So we're
Yeah,
good.
I'll turn it on. I
Keep
have it
going.
on sometimes in the background. Definitely, at lunch, whatever. Just kind of seeing what's going on. What's interesting is just the different approaches legally. I'm kind of always been infatuated with law, but never really went after it.
wrong
Um,
side of
yeah, I don't know what you just said, but the wrong side of it. That's funny. I think it's just going to be really interesting. It's like the man had a speedball in him, right, inside of his blood, which takes out many of people, right? That speedball of that's what took out the guy from Crisscross. A lot of rock stars, a lot of people died from that speedball. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays into it. Um, it's also going to be interesting to see now I think they're talking. I saw some officers today. They were talking to them, and they were talking about the training, and they were saying that that's not part of the training. Um, so it's just interesting to kind of watch and see what people are saying to kind of try to help their case, what they're trying to pin it on. But yeah,
So I've watched 0 minutes of it, nor do I plan to watch any minutes of it. I read up on what the charges were, the different degrees of murder or manslaughter, so I can get an understanding of what needed to be proved by the prosecution in order for action to be taken. Um, I looked up to see who the judge was presiding over the case to kind of see his history. I really don't need to see anything until the verdict is given because what I know right now is Derek Chauvin's on trial, George Floyd is not, and I assume you're telling me this is news to me that he said something in the system or whatever in the system. Um, I'm sure that was escalated by a knee being on his neck for plus 8 minutes. Like uh, if you have that stuff in your system, if you're gonna die from it, you're gonna die from it right away. You're not gonna die from just walking down the street or driving home. It's gonna be an overdose, or you're gonna die right away. So I don't need to hear the back and forth. I need to see justice to be carried out. Um, Accurately and fairly, and I just hope that's the case. Because if it's not, there'll be a monumental turn, not only in our judicial system, but in our society as well. I want to see progress on these type of things, not going backwards like the voting registration that
and
that
so I'm gonna
causes
jump
us
in.
to have to wait for sandwiches in Publix.
I feel I feel like the system has to not work in order for him to get justice. In order for George Floyd
Right,
to get justice, it has to
it
not
has to
work.
not work.
Because I feel like the system has been working as designed or whatever
Let me
for
rephrase that.
this entire
The
time.
law, the law.
Hmm?
Maybe I said system, and I meant the law. For the law system, the system of how things are working that you're referring
The
to.
rule you want the rule
The
of you
rule of
want the
law to be
rule of
carried
law
out as a
to
rule of
work.
law should be carried out.
Right.
Yeah.
I want the system to not work the way that it has been for 400 plus years. Right. Like I need it to I need it to I want for Derek Chauvin to get locked up, them to throw away the key, and him to get his ass whooped in jail on a regular basis because of the horrible person that he was or that he is, and because of what he did and what he seemingly has been doing for the majority, if not his entire career as a policeman. He
So
they said that that they're not allowing some of his history to be put in front of the jurors, and one of them was that he had his knee on the back of a 14-year-old child, a 14-year-old boy, for about 5 minutes. A couple of years ago, and he was reprimanded for that. And I feel like that goes to a pattern, starts to show a pattern of abuse or whatever. Um, so
What I would like to see is for all criminals to be prosecuted in courts of law and not on the streets. And that's Derek Chauvin. That's anybody who commits a crime. No police officer, no vigilante has the right to carry out the rule of the court in the streets. Everybody should receive their date in court fairly. And there's a whole nother system to discuss that we're not going to do here right now. But once you get to court, the whole other system that you were referring to, that's a whole nother conversation.
I
yep,
think part of it is, and Eric and I were talking about this earlier, was people can watch the trial, but we're not attorneys, and we can be like this, that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? And so it's easy to sit back here and say these things about the law and the system and working and not working when it's an industry that most people don't know about, right? There's I don't know how many attorneys there are in the world, but those are the ones that are trying the case and try the laws and such, right? Um, so you have, like you said, the different degrees of murder and manslaughter. Those all are different things. A lot of times, what ends up happening is they put the wrong charges on people, and
Yeah, yeah.
if they put the wrong charge on you, like if I think he has third degree murder, and so if he's charged
Third
with
degree,
third degree,
third degree, second degree, and manslaughter. And you're the reason why I went to look that up because you had made a comment in a previous podcast about the specific charges. So I wanted to really understand what charges he had against him and what needed to be proven in order. So the chances of him getting third degree, I think, are almost like zilch.
right? So
Second
that's what ends up
degree,
happening. Usually hit them with the
yeah,
wrong charges, and then that's why they get off, and people get upset. And it's like, well, they just hit them with the wrong charges when they could have got, this they should have got the manslaughter charge. Like that's probably something they can get, right? Manslaughter, whether it's first or second degree, that's probably something they can get. Probably not the third degree. So then they get off on that. Usually they don't hit them with all those charges because that seems kind of, I don't know. It's like a lot, right? It can't be. You can't charge somebody with murder and manslaughter. To me, but I don't know. I'm not an attorney. But we sit back and we watch and we talk and
yeah,
we say we want justice served. But like what you're saying, B, if they charge him with third degree murder and there's really technically manslaughter, but they didn't charge him with manslaughter, then he's going to get off. And then people are going to outrage because he wasn't charged with third degree murder when that's not what he did. He did something else. So we, as the public, don't know the laws, but we think we do. And then each state has their own law, and we're talking about justice being served. Well, justice can be served if they're hit with the wrong charges, right? So
well,
one
black
more thing.
people are
Sorry, it's just like if you go
what
to court, if you get arrested and they do not read you your Miranda rights from their card, you get off. That's the law. So there's lots of dope dealers, lots of murderers who have gotten off because the police officers did not take their card out and did not read the Miranda rights word for word from that card. Because sometimes if it's supposed to be A, they might say D, and then therefore it throws out the arrest. So those are things that make the law stand up for what it is. So that's how people get off on things. That's justice and that's the law being served because they didn't do it the right way.
yeah. I will agree that people need to have their Miranda rights read to them. But what we see across the system, no matter what state it is, across the system, is is black and brown people getting way more charges for the exact same thing as white people, and they throw the book at him and they go, "Yep, you're gonna get every single charge." So for Derek Chauvin, in this case, they went for two murder. He had two murder counts and one manslaughter count, or whatever. Murder two, murder three, or whatever. Murder and manslaughter. Manslaughter is just kind of, I accidentally killed him, basically, or whatever. And it's only a few years. It's only a few years. It's 5 or so
Like five
years,
to
something like 3 to
ten.
5.
One was like 15 to 20, or 10 to 20 or something like that.
And then
Uh,
the two murders are 10 to 20
he's not going to
Murder is
get
and
first
I
degree.
went after you to kill you. That's what murder is. I wanted to
Yeah,
kill you. That's
murder
what murder is.
murder three is premeditated. That's the
he's not
top
going to get murder
or
three.
whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh,
Eh, but there's a chance of two and a chance of the manslaughter charge is what I
Now I'm
think.
not. And Diamond's point. I'm not an attorney, but I mean I am like on season 20 of Law and Order, and that has to carry
Some kind of
some
way,
type of
man.
weight. I mean I know attorneys that haven't been exposed to that much courtroom law, to be honest with you. So
Right, and right, because
yeah,
there are all these different kind of laws, right? So it's just
yeah.
a matter of what you want to take on. But we get upset because of stuff that we don't know. You know what I mean? It's just like everybody was really excited because OJ got off, but everybody knows that OJ did it. But everybody's like, yeah, OJ, right? And so it's like, is it really the law that we want to serve? We just want black people to get off. Like, which one is it, right?
No, it's
But that's
going back to what I
but
said.
that's
I
what
want criminals to be prosecuted or to be held in court and receive their day in court. I want that across the board for everybody to the
But
letter of the law.
your good lawyers do private practice, and but sometimes your okay lawyers end up being the prosecutors, which is why they end up winning because these private practice lawyers are the ones that go after it, and then the other lawyers, the prosecutors aren't necessarily sometimes, and I'm dead ass wrong for saying this. I know I am. So, but
oh
sometimes,
yeah,
but really,
oh
it's a
yeah.
battle of
I'm definitely
it's a
I'm definitely sending that clip to my attorney friends.
perfect.
I'm not
Definitely sending that
co-signing
one to
that,
them.
I
but
wouldn't use them
whatever.
anyway, right? So, uh, my thing is,
They would say you couldn't afford them. So don't worry.
I can.
They might say that. Who knows? But yeah, I think that's the point. Is I don't want somebody to get off just because they're of a certain color or of a certain class. And it doesn't just happen with color either. It happens with class of people, right? To Diamond's point, that's a really good point, or Eric's point, is a lot of times in this, not a lot of times, most of the time in this country, the better lawyer you can afford, the more likely your chances are getting off, regardless if you're guilty or what charges are brought against you. So it's
Yep.
about everybody getting the same due justice, in my opinion.
Yeah, because even in
Um,
the OJ trial, those
So
guys
here,
came back and said, we dropped the ball on this and we dropped the ball on that, and then they came in and took advantage of that, right? Which is what helped them out, right? So that's that. Yeah, it's just you know,
all right. Let me wrap it up this way. Most people will say that OJ did it, but that's a prime example of what I'm saying about sometimes, like, I want the system to be broken or whatever, and the system was broken there or whatever. So and he ended up getting off. He shouldn't have got off, and they got him for a whole bunch of other stuff over the course of his life or whatever. So that's
being a
one
dumbass.
thing.
I
The
don't
other
want
thing
any
that's
murders
interesting
walking the
about
street. I don't want to be in the
yeah,
elevator with a murderer. I don't care what color they are.
okay, so don't be in the elevator
If he murked somebody, no, not with me.
with what's
I'm a
his
snitch
name
on you. No, I'm
from
joking.
I'm snitching. Just let it be known. That's the
Yeah.
role I play. I like eating solid foods. My kids need me. I am snitching. Have no fear.
Uh,
don't get in the elevator with Ray Lewis.
whoa,
Okay.
whoa.
Um so so
He's
let's
a
so
murderer.
let's move to
Super
I
Bowl.
don't know.
yeah, Super Bowl. Hey, he decapitated two dudes. Almost decapitated two dudes in front of the Super
Nope,
Bowl here in
not
Atlanta.
not
Anyway,
co-signing on that.
allegedly, allegedly. So moving to the next thing. Let's switch gears. Let's get into something that's a little bit different. Danielle Bergoli, aka Cash Me Outside. How about that, girl?
Ask who
Or
that is.
Bad Baby, or just apparently she turned 18 relatively recently and opened up an OnlyFans account and made $1 million in 6 hours. I'm gonna put that out there. Go.
Catch me
I have
outside.
nothing to say. I have nothing to say about that. Nothing to say about that.
It's insane. Like for me, the whole concept of this is absolutely insane. She's 18-year old girl. She puts some dirty pics up, not dirty pics, some nude pics up, I guess,
They're not new.
and 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 she made $1 million off of it. Within 6 hours, and the projection was that she would make somewhere around $5 million in 48 hours off
I
of
love to see it.
OnlyFans.
I absolutely love to see it, man. I think it's awesome. People out there, go get your money. You know, yeah. I mean, it is what it is, man. So you got to
I
think about
think
it.
I, I think it causes a
There
tear in
are
our
there are
societal
what
fabric.
she is a platform for her to make money. It's not illegal. And from what I understand, not all the OnlyFans are people being naked. Sometimes it's just people being in like bikinis or just taking. I mean, Chris Brown has an OnlyFans, right? So I don't think that all of it is
Is he
about.
hitting people in his hitting women in his OnlyFans? Is that what
I
he's
don't
doing? Isn't that
know.
what he's known for?
So the term is
That dude there,
OnlyFans, and I
man.
think it
I don't, I
allows
don't, I
them
don't rock with that guy.
to put whatever they want to on there, and then people can sign up and they can buy it. It's not like she's not making anybody do anything. You gotta think about it. There's how many billions of people in this world, and she's just found an audience. I mean, I saw on TikTok this girl. She said she made $10,000 in a week. I think it was a week. She was like, I didn't do any advertising. She said, I had some people on Twitter. I said, hey, I got my OnlyFans out there. And then she told the people on TikTok, hey, I got it. And she made $10,000 in a week off of her OnlyFans. And she was a stripper. But I was like, dang. So, I mean, if it's, she ain't hurt nobody. Go get it, girl.
She's not hurting anybody. I would say directly necessarily. In my personal opinion, this is where I lean more towards the other way. I think that collective thought process or those collective type of things is kind of what tears away at our society as a whole. But that's a way deep conversation. I don't have the energy to get into. That goes back to like reality TV and everything. So,
Man, you
but
sound
I'll
old.
stick with it.
You
I'm
sound
just saying,
old.
man.
I can tell
I'm
you
just
about this.
saying.
Think about 1996, the Olympics in Atlanta. We was not saying that, bro. Not at all.
Nope,
Nah,
It's very different.
not at all.
nah, it's different, man. I think some of these platforms. I think it's always good for people to have a platform to express their talents or say what they want to say or whatnot. That I have no problems with that. But I think there's certain things I really do. I think it moved us away from where we need to be sometimes as a collective whole through stuff like that. That's just my opinion.
So we should get rid of Playboy magazine. We
So,
should
so
get rid of
is
Blacktail. We should get rid of all that stuff, right? It just needs to go away.
I missed that. I'm not even familiar with those things you just named. What is that again?
I understand. It's good. It is Good Friday. I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna stop playing.
no, I mean, but
I like that. That was
so
good.
so so be are your thoughts and ideas here? Are they are they swayed because you have three daughters? Is that what's making you go, oh well, you know, this is a blight on society at this point,
Nah, because
or
I
whatever?
had a
Is
mother
that
and a
what it
sister
is?
before that, and other women that I respect before that as well too. So it's deeper than just me in my current state of being a father. That definitely adds to it, but just in general, man. And I'm not even talking about from a gender perspective. I'm talking about, I mean, it could be dudes doing things on certain platforms. I'm like, ah, man, like we were talking about that dude Kevin Samuels, right? Yeah, he's entertaining to a point, but then at a certain point, it goes from being entertaining to it can actually have that thought process. If enough people rock like that, it can actually have a different impact on things. It's just not everybody has to think the same, but also I'm a big believer. Not everybody needs to be heard by everybody else either. Like pass an English lit course first, before you go and put out content. You know what I mean? Like have some type of credibility first or be able to speak articulately first or something. You know what I mean? Like don't just I don't know. It's too much sometimes. Is all I'm saying. But that's just me. It is part of me just being a little bit older. I mean, you're 100% correct about that. But
Now,
at the
that girl
same
needs
time,
to rock out, man. People,
yeah,
we're in society talking about some get it. East talking about some don't be in a position to get that stimulus check next year. Boom, she heard you, E. She heard you. You was talking to her. She's not gonna be in that position. So
She won't.
it's the money's out there, man. People have disposable income and they are throwing it out there in all shapes, forms, and fashion, whether it be at restaurants, just whatever, man. And this girl is just we're just talking about her because she broke a record and she made a lot of money, right? If she made $500,000, we wouldn't be talking about her. Right. And there's lots of people who are making that much money on it, right? And it's a platform that's open for guys and girls. It's not anything different. It's
yeah.
I mean,
It's not
we
gender
got to think
based.
about Tinder, Bumble, Grinder, and OnlyFans, and then all that stuff. All that stuff is having an impact
Are
on
those
society.
aren't all balanced. I don't think.
But we're talking about impacts on
I feel like
society and how
from the
people
dating
operate,
sites and then
and like Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat. They're making people want to be these things. Like, oh, I got to go have this money. I got to go be ratchet. I got to be this and another. And those other platforms like Tinder and Bumble and all this stuff, those dating sites, and some of those dating sites, are, from what I understand, are not just like they're like, hey, let's link up and hook up type things, right? That's no different
So what he
than
understands.
from what I understand, what I've read about,
from what I've
what I've
heard.
heard. And then here she is doing that. So our society is kind of definitely shifted, And the thing would be, a long time ago, somebody was saying that Rush Limbaugh was too conservative. Somebody was like, man, remember when they weren't going to church or something? We thought that was too conservative. And then you look at what Trump is saying, and then now that's like this is thrown out the window, right? Grab him by the pussy. Like that was nothing. He still got elected president. Nobody paid attention to that. So where
Yeah,
we are as a
see, that's what I'm
society,
talking about, though. To me, that's not a good thing to have a presidential a leader of our country that has been able to lower the bar that much, where that becomes the norm and acceptable. Like that to me that's not a good development when it comes to national leadership for that to be the case.
that's
That's what I'm
true.
saying.
But
For
everybody's
Kanye
just trying to
West,
make money. Everybody's trying to make money. Like we don't have people that
yeah,
have been at the same company for 30 years anymore. That is gone, right? No one's got that. No one's really doing that. That's dying out. And it's all about making money. How can I get mine, right? And people are like,
yeah.
okay, well you start a company. I'm gonna start a company. Well, let's start a company. Let's start this company. People are doing this. People are doing that. It's the same thing. It's like with cryptocurrency, right? We went from cash to credit cards or debit cards, and now we're going cryptocurrency, right? So we went from being married forever to getting divorced, and now everybody's just living their thought life, right? And so people are it's just the way that society changed. Oh, people are living their thought life. Don't act like that. They're
What's a
living their,
thought again?
yeah,
Okay.
this guy. Yeah. But
We'll I'll make sure when I edit that I put a definition there. It's gonna be right in front of Donnie.
But going back to something you
Y'all
said
look for
earlier, Donovan, and I think it's really important. I want to clarify this. Like that line of demarcation for me of kind of what should exist and what shouldn't exist, and not that I'm not I don't determine those things, but when it comes down to is like, is somebody being hurt by this action in order for me to make money? That is kind of a defining type of a statement right there of a point where you have to really look at that to determine where you land on something. So that was a good point.
so who's being hurt by Danielle making $1 million?
No, no, I mean, I don't know. I damn sure don't know what's on our OnlyFans page. I have to ask Donovan to recap that for us. But so I don't know. I'm assuming no one's being hurt. I mean, I
can
don't
I
know.
write it
I'm
off my
assuming no one's
taxes if
being
I do it for the business and we talk about it? Can I write it off?
hurt.
We'll talk. Okay.
Literally, you could.
I'll do
So I mean,
investigative work.
I don't know. The whole concept of OnlyFans. Yeah, I mean, I guess if somebody's into somebody else and it gives them access and they want to pay for that, I guess, man. I don't know if you're that thirsty. I suppose. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I,
I
I
just
can I
don't.
can speak on this.
I don't understand that.
I can say that when we were in school, there were several females that went to go perform in the entertainment industry. They would end up being strippers. And me and some of my friends that are on this podcast made it a point to go see them several times and made a point to go
Who?
tell our friends that we saw them and then to go see them again. And so it's no different than spending that
Oh,
charge to go see that person those particular people at that club
Who
at
is
those
this?
clubs.
Rod
Give me some
I'm not
snitching.
names.
snitching.
Rod snitching, bro.
Give me, give
What
me
is
some names.
this? What is that? What was that? Who snitches on their own
I said,
podcast
hey,
like that?
E,
That's crazy. That's crazy.
what are we talking about? It's no different than us going to see those people that we were like, yeah, let's go see her. Right? It's no different
Yo,
than
yo,
that. Than
for
somebody
real, for
going,
real.
hey, if I got $10, I'm gonna spend it.
Am I aware of this? This is like breaking news. Something that happened in Miami or something.
Aren't you from
No.
Miami? You would know. This happened in Atlanta
Well, no,
off Bankhead. Off Bankhead. Blue Flame Magic and Blue Flame Shotty. Come on now.
I thought I knew who you were talking about, but there's no way they were at Blue Flame, so I really don't know.
No, remember that girl that
Man,
hey,
don't let
I'm gonna
somebody
call you.
name slip out. Don't let somebody. We're not gonna let somebody name slip out.
Yeah.
We're gonna let you. We're gonna
Think
talk about that
think
part
sexy
Eric,
after.
I'm
singer
blast. I
from
mean, what's one more?
Eric is a strip club connoisseur. Like I ain't scared to tell anybody. I've probably been to 70 something strip clubs. So don't worry about me. I'm
There's
good.
70 something strip clubs in Atlanta.
Not in Atlanta, in the world. I've been to 73 in
in
the
the
world
world.
between
He traveled.
Vegas, New
Now he ain't gotta
York,
travel. Now he just buy
Los
the OnlyFans.
Angeles.
See what I'm talking
Why
about?
why
Somebody heard
why
somebody,
why is this not a travel podcast of the world's best strip clubs? And we
you
might
know,
have like 2,000.
We can do
hey,
that. We
B,
can
No,
do
my
I
that.
ain't
point
doing
is
that.
somebody heard Eric say that he's been around the world traveling, seeing these girls. And somebody said, "Why don't we start OnlyFans? That way he ain't got to travel around the world. If he gonna spend this amount of money on plane tickets, now he got to do is spend $30 a month to see her naked. Got it. Now he ain't got to travel around the world. How much you spend a month on OnlyFans,
Bro,
E?
if OnlyFans, so
How much you
wait a
spend a
minute.
month?
If OnlyFans is $30, how much is this month? $30 a
It
month,
How
varies.
do you know that price so
bro.
fast?
That
No.
content.
Each person determines their cost. So some are 5, some are
Oh
80.
no, bro. Like this, what I'm saying. Like once you get to over $4 or $5, like you competing with Netflix and Hulu at that point. Like how good can your content
Your
be?
content doesn't
Like
have to be good. E, think about this. If I can get you, if look, think about this, E. If I can charge you $5 a month, people are throwing away $5 a month like it's nothing. Oh man, $5 a month to see you naked. I'm at least see what you look like. Boom, spend it, and then you
Disney,
go to the next
but
person.
that's like Disney Plus.
What?
Like Disney, that's Disney Plus. That's all the Marvel. That's all the Marvel universe. Like, do I
You go
like? I
look at
mean, good
Marvel while I'm
grief.
looking at OnlyFans.
I mean, but you looking at multiple. I mean, like, so you just looking at one chick.
So
Man,
I'm
let's wrap
You
this.
only get
I,
one.
I've, I've,
That's
I've,
only
I've
one.
lost complete interest in this
so
conversation.
I'm thinking of a person that wants to do it, right? If I go, man, if I can
hmm
get 500
You better stay
if
on the
I can
line,
get
bro. What you
500
doing?
people to subscribe at $5 a month, and I don't have to leave my house, and I can do that every month, or I can, whatever. Like that's what they're thinking. They're like, why not?
I was waiting. I was waiting to see if you was gonna do math in your head on that one.
It's $2,500, right? Right, which is what they stimulus check they was given from unemployment, right? And so if they can continue to do that, like it's man,
That's a
they
real
they are
stimulus
out
check at
there.
that point.
Chicks are out here sending nude shots for free. Don't ask me how I know.
Man, I don't know.
They out here sending nude shots for free. And then somebody just said, man, so if you went with Christopher last week, and then you went with Marlon this week, and then you went with Tyrell, you went with all, and you didn't all send them pictures for free and make them pay for it. That's all. I ain't mad at them.
And
I am not
that's.
mad
I'll
at
be
them.
honest with you. That's 100% what I'm talking about society and unraveling and all that. Like all that just kind of engulfed everything that I was saying. Like my gosh, man.
Oh
We
I
don't
boy,
need to.
this has been interesting. We went all over the place on this one. It's been interesting. We might need to do the check in again to see where people are at the end
I'm
of
at
this
straight
one.
threes now because that whole conversation just took me down mentally, physically, and professionally. I think, to be honest with you, I'm like, I went from a solid 21 to like a 9 in a span of 45 minutes. Let's wrap.
All right. Shout out to Groovy
Yeah.
Clothing. Tony, proud of you. Happy you got
OTE.
married.
Oh yeah, congrats,
Love you,
Tony.
boy. Congratulations,
That's
bro.
what's up.
My
Groovy.com. Check them
virtual
out.
gift is on the way.
All
Check down of his OnlyFans. You'll get it.
right.
No, don't check my OnlyFans. No, that's not what you're gonna see. It's not what you're gonna see.
Cost you 13 cents a month.
All All right, hear me out podcast volume episode 10. We wrap. Uh
Like, subscribe,
supposed to
Yes,
say
sir.
gang,
Like and
gang.
subscribe.